Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today I'm checking out this new album from the Black Crowes, Happiness Bastards. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist I put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So this new album from the Black Crowes was released on March 15th. It's the band's 10th studio album. It's their first album since 2009's Before the Frost Until the Freeze, and the first album that the band has done since reforming in 2019. And to be honest, with such a long gap in between albums, I didn't think we'd ever really see an album from the Robinson brothers together again. They've done separate things. They've had their own solo careers during that time span, but like I said, I never really thought they'd be able to make everything work and get back together in a recording studio and just recreate some great music that we've known and loved from the band for all these years. So the band currently consists of the Robinson brothers, Chris and Rich, and Sven Pipien, who has been with the Black Crowes on bass since 1997. And then outside of that, the band has used just a group of session musicians and touring musicians to kind of help round out the sound in the studio for this album. For this new album, the Black Crowes brought in Jay Joyce to produce, and Jay Joyce has worked with a bunch of bands over the years. He's worked with some rock acts, but since the early part or mid part of the 2000s, Jay Joyce has primarily worked with country artists or country adjacent artists, so I really assumed that there was going to be a strong country vibe on this album, and that's not really what we got on here. I feel like the Black Crowes really went back to their blues rock roots in the early part of the 90s, and I think really crafted maybe their best album in 30 years. So before I get into what I thought of this album, I want to discuss the album artwork for this album, because I feel like there's a lot of people that kind of skipped over this, and I can't be the only person out there that's noticed this. But and knowing the history of this band and the disagreements over the years, I'm sure there has to be some kind of hidden meaning behind this cover. And it might be kind of hard to show on the camera, but I'll try to point it out here. So this looks like just a whitewashed picture, but if you look really closely, this is actually a whitewashed picture of the cover of the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, because you can see Rich's face down here in the corner, and then if you look across the top behind the HAPP, you can see the Black Crowes logo from the cover of that album. Like I said, I'm sure there has to be some kind of hidden meaning the Robinson brothers put behind this because it doesn't feel like something that just kind of happened naturally. I'm sure like I said, there's some kind of meaning there, but I'm not really sure at this point what it is. So the lead single off of Happiness Bastards was released back in January. It's called Wanting and Waiting. And when it was first released, I thought it was an okay song. Once I sat down and started listening to this album, though, I feel like the song works better within the context of the album. And it's actually grown on me because, like I said, I wasn't, I didn't think it was a bad song. I just didn't think it was as great as a lot of other people thought it was. But it's definitely grown on me ever since. And I might be wrong, but I think that was the only single that they released off this album before the release of the album. So I think that's kind of cool, because that's one thing I've kind of said over the last couple of years is I feel like bands nowadays release, a big chunk of the album before the album's released, and I feel like it spoils some of that anticipation. So it's nice to see them only release that one track and then the album. Overall, I think this is a really well put together album. Really starts off strong right out of the gate with songs like Bedside Manners and Rats and Clowns. The album doesn't have this formulaic feel that some of the older Black Crowes albums do. And, altogether, like I said earlier, I think this is probably the band's best album since they released Amorica back in 1994. I guess really the only thing negative I could say about this album is it starts off really strong. Like I said, it really comes out of the gate really strong with a couple of really good tracks. The whole first side of the album is fantastic. It doesn't have a bad song on there. I guess I should say, I don't think the album has a bad song on it at all, but I think the songs on the first half are definitely stronger than the songs on the second half of the album. I think Wilted Rose with Lainey Wilson is probably my favorite track off of the album, and Jay Joyce has worked with Lainey before, so I think there's some of that connection there, and there's definitely, I think, some country influence in that track, but it's just a great track overall. Like I said, one of my favorite ones on the album. Some other great tracks on the album: Bedside Manners, Rats and Clowns, which I said were the two two really strong songs that kick the album off. Wanting and Waiting is a good track. Bleed It Dry is great too, and I love the harmonica on that track also. And then the album ends with Kendra's Friend, which I know a lot of people I've heard kind of, I guess, hate the fact that this album ends on kind of a slower, quieter song. I really love the way they did that. It kind of adds some different contrast to the album. So I guess with all that being said, I wasn't necessarily blown away by this album. I thought this was going to be a really good album, and it kind of lived up to those expectations, I think. If I had to kind of, like I said, I think that there were some songs on the second side of the album that maybe weren't as strong as some of the songs in the first half. Overall, I'd give the album a really solid 7.5. I think it's, like I said, it's the band's best effort in 30 years. And they've definitely had some missteps along the way. I think this is kind of a return to form album for the band. So as far as the packaging goes for this album, I've seen some complaints that people really didn't like the plainness of this jacket. Which, a band like the Black Crowes, I don't think they need to have anything big and fancy. I think this works for this album. And knowing the fact that the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion album cover is behind that, I think that's kind of cool. I think it adds something to the album. But it just says Happiness Bastards on the front. It does say the Black Crowes on the back. And then on the inside it just says Trust Us and then Never Trust Us. And then there is a sleeve. I will say that if you look inside the jacket, there is some artwork inside. You can see some skulls inside the jacket there, which I think is kind of cool. And then the inner sleeve there says the Black Crowes, has all the song listings and the credits. The back side of it is all the lyrics. And then there's a couple of versions of this that are available. There's a black version. I think there was another version that was available on exclusively through the Black Crowes website. I might be wrong on that one then, though. I decided to go with the Amazon exclusive, just on plain orange vinyl. I don't know. I just like the look of the color, kind of contrast with the album artwork. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Love to know what you guys think of this album. Have you listened to it yet? Do you plan on picking up a physical copy of it? Like I said, I enjoy it. I think it's probably the best album in 30 years, but let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.